The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Radio Global, Who Knew Productions, JSA Media, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hey, this is Jimmy with your weekly lineup. Starting on Mondays at 8 o'clock p.m., we have Spot On with Lino and Debbie. Right after Spot On is Straight Talk with Matt Hazley. He's on at 10 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday night, 8 o'clock p.m., Talk Time with Val. Right after Val is Sammy V with Thoughts for Food. He's on at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. On Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have Outline with Jay and Sarah. And at 10 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, we have On the Air with Mike Allen. On Thursday nights at 9 p.m., we have Real Talk with Robert Zuckerman. After Real Talk, we have Night Talk with Joe Rocks. He's on at 10 p.m. Eastern. At 11:30 p.m. Eastern, we got Pot Talk with Jim and Paul. And at 12:30 a.m., we have Outline with Jay and Sarah. They're on right after Pot Talk. On Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Straight Talk with Matt Hazley. And to wrap it up on Saturdays at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, we have Thoughts for Food with Sammy V and Chris T. That's your weekly lineup. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much. Welcome to Real Talk with Robert Zuckerman. I'm here with Val. I think Robert's having a problem.
Yeah, we seem to be having a little issue. Robert, are you there?
He was there for a second.
For a second he was, yes. So, anyway, hi listeners, and welcome to the very first debut of Real Talk with Robert Zuckerman. And this man is no stranger to you. If you'd listened to my show on Tuesday, you would have had a brief bio on him. Aside from being sexy and debonair, he is a multi-talented with the heart of philosopher. So we're hoping he gets his technical issues under wraps and can chat with us.
You guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh my goodness! Whew. Well, thank you for covering for me. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you. You're good.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You're good.
Well, thank you everybody, and welcome to Real Talk. This is my debut episode of the show, and I'm really very honored to be here. And I'm here thanks to Joe Savino, and also to a very good new friend of mine named Steve Joyner from Fresno, California, who was the one that connected me with Joe. The show is called Real Talk.
Val.
Hello? Oh, I'm
sorry.
That's okay. It's cocktail hour somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, this show is called Real Talk, and real is R-E-E-L. But it also has a double meaning because we want it to be about to have a real conversation. And for those who don't know, I am a veteran of the Hollywood film business. I worked for, in the business for about 35 years, but 25 of those years as what they call a still photographer in motion pictures. When you open a magazine and you see a photo from a movie, or you very often the poster for the movie, that comes from someone who's making photographs on the set, and that's the still photographer. And I had a very fortunate career in that area. Worked on many films, the first three Transformers, both National Treasures, Training Day, Bad Boys 2, Terminator 3, going back further into the early 90s, The Crow, which many of you have heard of, and a number of those in between. And so I'm here in this show to share my experience in that, but also to open it up to other things too, because really if you're an aspiring filmmaker, any good filmmaker that I've met is someone who has knowledge of other areas of life, and it brings that into the filmmaking. One of the more recent films that I worked on was a film called Flight, which was filmed in Atlanta in 2011, I'm sorry, and it was directed by Robert Zemeckis, who is a really brilliant director. If you want to know you probably know many of his films, but one of the more famous ones is Forrest Gump, which is just a masterpiece. And as a still photographer, I am very privileged. Still photographers get to be right up near the movie camera, right near the heart of things on the movie set. And one of the things working on that film that I got to observe about Robert Zemeckis is that he had a very good knowledge of all areas of the filmmaking, and he could communicate with people. For instance, the grips. The grips are people who rig things and move around boxes and platforms that people stand on. And he knew the language of them. He knew the language of the electricians, and he could communicate with everybody. So if you want to be a filmmaker, it's good to have a broad knowledge of life and of different aspects of your craft. So I'm here to talk about that, but we're going to also, through the course of the show, bring in different guests and different people from different areas of interest. So I'm really looking forward to that as we go along. And I'm also very fortunate to have a beautiful and brilliant co-host, Val Anistema. I was a guest on her show the other night. Hi, Val.
Hey, Robert.
How are you? Where are you tonight?
I am in St. Louis.
Wow. That's also the beauty of this of the new radio networks, is that we can be on pretty much any part of the planet and be having this conversation in this show. So that's great.
Don't worry, I'm not sitting at a bar. I'm at home.
Oh, okay. Well, my one memory of St. Louis, really, I only was there in 1976. I was driving cross country for the first time, and I had been living in Connecticut and in the East Coast, and I was driving to California to attend school in Berkeley, and we drove through St. Louis, and it was probably late June or maybe middle June, and it was really hot, really humid, and there were bugs like the size of birds. And and I remember seeing, don't you have a big arch there?
Yeah, the Gateway Arch.
The Gateway Arch, yeah. So that was that, and there was
You want to know something really funny, though?
Yeah.
I've heard people describe St. Louis like that, but since I've been here the last 3 years,
yeah,
it's been mild winters and mild summers. We have not had those summers where it's like 90 and 100 and stuff.
Yeah.
We get pretty decent 72-degree weather.
Oh.
It's been, and the bugs, the only bugs that really bug me are the cicadas. Yeah. Jimmy can vouch for that. They just make constant noise.
Yeah, I think that's what I might have seen. Those are they look like big flying,
locusts.
Sort of locusts, right.
Alien bug head thingies.
Yeah. Well, that's like most of the country, and even in the East Coast, all up and down the East Coast in the summertime,
right.
You have that. In Florida, where I live now, we have these bugs that they call them no-see-ums. Have you ever heard of the no-see-ums?
No.
They call them no-see-ums because you can't see them, and they're tiny little sandflies. But if you are in your car and you're not, if you're a guy wearing shorts or your legs are exposed, you get out of your car and literally within 10 seconds your whole legs are itching like crazy, and it's just it's interesting, to say the least. But
so what you're telling me is, if I ever plan to move to Florida, I need to invest into the stock of some kind of bug off or something.
Something like that, or DEET they call it. That's the one.
I haven't heard about DEET since I was a kid.
Yeah, they still have it here.
Nice.
Anyway,
I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
You were talking about The Flight, and you were talking about the director, Robert Zemeckis.
Yes.
Okay, but for our listeners out there, the names that they would recognize. Flight is a movie that was done in 2012 with Denzel Washington, Nadine Velasquez, Don Cheadle. So you have an idea of the caliber of actors, then you have an idea of the movie itself. Go on, sorry.
Oh yeah, well, I say about that film. I mean, I was fortunate to work on altogether on 6 films with Denzel Washington, starting with Training Day, and
Nice.
On Flight, it was such an experience, because one of the things I really enjoy, I mean, the film business, people work very hard. And, the general idea is that, the general impression is that film is, glamour and Hollywood and everything, but making a movie is very long hours. I mean, a short day is probably 12 hours, and an average day is like 14 to 16 hours standing around, and sometimes in adverse conditions. I was working on one film in New York in 2009 called Confessions of a Shopaholic, and we were filming in very cold weather, probably in the teens, outside, starting at 6 a.m. probably for like 12 or 14 hours, and I had some friends who actually live in New York come by and visit the set, and it was early evening, so I'd probably been outside already, close to 12 hours. And my friends came by, and after like 5 minutes, they said, "It's too cold here. We're leaving." And so that gives you an idea. But at any rate, one of the things that I really enjoyed about my many years working in the film business is that you have maybe 100, 150 people on a film crew coming together, everyone doing their job, from electricians to camera people to sound people, to props, wardrobe, makeup, hairstyling. Everyone does their job, and they all fall together. And it's, in a way, it's kind of like a big dysfunctional family military unit. But everyone kind of falls together and does what they do. And that's really one of the beauties of the business that I like, regardless of what the film is about. Because it could be some big action thing where things get blown up, and it maybe not be considered something that's going to advance or elevate society more, but you're working very hard and everyone has each other's back. So it's the camaraderie that I really enjoyed, and working with people, and some of the same people on and off again. For, like I said, I was really in it seriously for about 25 years, and sometimes you wouldn't see someone for 5 or 10 years, and then you see them on a set again, and you just pick it up like that. So that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about it. But getting back to Flight, between Robert Zemeckis and Denzel Washington, they both came to the table so prepared that experience of working on that film to me was like going back to film school. Just watching them was something that I really enjoyed. There was one scene in the film. I don't know if have you seen that film, Val?
No, I haven't, but I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm reading the I guess synopsis right now.
Yeah.
And it says here, Denzel Washington is William Whip Whitaker, an alcoholic pilot who, after a night of heavy drinking, remains drunk well into the morning. He is to fly a plane into Georgia. Right. When his flight goes down into a sudden tailspin, Whip manages to save all but 6 lives through his crash landing. Right. Whip is a hero until his toxicology report comes up positive for everything under the sun, leaving the airline, Whip's union, his friends, and Whip in a tailspin of their own. So it's like, okay, so I'm reading this here. It says there's like a lot of sex and drugs and nudity and violence and suspense, and it kind of sounds like, wasn't there a scandal about an airline pilot a couple of years ago?
Well, honestly, I don't remember that.
I thought that there might have been. Maybe I'm mishearing, or maybe I'm thinking about the movie and I thought it was like a news article. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely going to watch this.
It's a good film because what it does, and what was really powerful for me is, you probably know people. I know people in my life who have, problems with alcohol or whatever, and it's hard for people to own that. A lot of people are in denial in a certain way. And in this film,
hi, my name is Val, and I'm addicted to ice.
Hi, Val. in unison. But there's a scene in the film where Denzel's in a big hearing, an official government hearing, and there's hundreds of reporters around, and he's being interviewed by Melissa Leo, who plays the official who's interviewing him, and. We were filming this in a big ballroom of a hotel in downtown Atlanta, this scene. It was all set up, like a big room, and there's hundreds of people and reporters, and Denzel is sitting there, and he says to Melissa Leo's questioning him, and he goes, "Yeah, were you drunk at the time?" And he goes, "Yes, I was drunk then." And he goes, "In fact, I'm drunk right now." And when he said that, it was such a powerful moment that he actually owned that. That I was sitting across, I was kind of off to the side and looking way across the room in the back, was sitting Larry Cherry, who was Denzel's longtime hair person. And Larry, and when Denzel said, "Yes, I'm drunk right now," it was such a powerful moment that Larry Cherry and I looked at each other way across the room and just shook our heads because we know we were watching something powerful there.
I believe you, because this movie grossed $93,772,375, and it's first. Oh my God!
Yeah,
I don't believe I haven't seen it.
It was not a high budget film either. It was kind of a low budget film.
It said estimated $31 million for the budget.
Wow. Okay. So that in today's terms is considered a lower or medium budget film. At one point in time that would have been amazing, but in today's dollars, and so it was really great, and it was great to work with such a great cast. Not only Denzel Washington, but Don Cheadle and Bruce Greenwood, and John Goodman was in it, and like you said, Nadine Velasquez, and we had from, I don't know if you ever watch Law and Order SVU, but Tamara Tooney, who plays the forensic doctor, was in it too, and she was just a delight to work with. And I'm an admitted Law and Order SVU junkie, or
Dr. Melinda Warner.
Exactly. Yeah. So so anyway, that was a great experience. Working with Denzel. And actually, what's interesting is I think I told you separately about how on my first film with Denzel, which was Training Day, he's known to not really be too amenable to still photographers.
Right.
He's such a serious actor that he really wants to stay focused, and they can feel actors can feel the pull of another lens. So I had a whole set of rules about about still photos when I worked with him on Training Day. But this was maybe the fifth film we worked on together, and there was one scene when they were filming Denzel entering the airplane, and the airplane fuselage and body was set up inside a soundstage, and they had rain machines going. So the movie camera was inside the plane as he came up and entered the plane, and so he actually at that time was 2011. I'm fully in a wheelchair, but at that time I was able to get around with a cane still. And so I was inside the plane, and I'm being mindful of Denzel. And sorry, hold on one second, please. Being mindful of Denzel's attitude and feeling about still cameras. I didn't really want to go in there, but Denzel was the one that said to me, "Hey, Robert, come on in here, get right over here." And so I crammed into the plane right next to the movie camera, and got the photos of him entering the plane with the rain machines going behind him, and that was what ended up being the poster for the movie. And so it was really thanks to Denzel that we got that shot. So I don't know if he had an instinct about it, but that was the photo that ended up being the poster. So
wait, was that a caller trying to call into the show just now?
I don't think so. Maybe I should
check and see.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me just call the person back. It was from West Palm Beach, so.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it was.
No, yeah, it'll come up with the service on your phone. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, okay.
Okay.
So anyway, so that was that. The last, let me see, what were the films I worked on with Denzel?
So the poster. Wait a minute. So the poster for Flight, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That image of Denzel standing there in, I guess it's like the rain.
Right, the rain behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's your photo.
That's my photo.
You know how freaking awesome that is. That is so awesome.
Okay, wait a minute. That's someone, the person who called me just texted me. She's trying to call in. It's Franny Sheridan. So let's see if she does call in here, or what her text says here. Yeah, and so that's the thing. Same like in Training Day, where like I explained, sometimes in the movie business, they'll do a separate photo shoot for the poster, and they'll spend a lot of money on a one-day photo shoot with a big-name photographer. But sometimes the best image comes from something gotten on the set, and so on, let's see, probably on like 5 of the 6 movies that I've worked on with Denzel, the actual poster has come not from a separate photo shoot, but from something gotten on the set of him in his acting mode. And, I think that's where the emotion is and where, the feeling is. So that's, you learn to work differently with different actors.
Okay. If listeners want to call in right now, you can call in at 866-225-5401. That number again is 866-225-5401. Right, Jimmy?
Oops.
Jimmy there? I think anyway, Jimmy probably stepped away for a quick minute.
But that's the right number, and my friend texted me saying she tried to call in, and it's been forwarded to the voicemail and say that nobody's available to take the call. So,
okay, well, let her call you directly then, and she can...
I'll take care of it. I'll call Joe.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, you've led a pretty interesting life thus far.
Thus far, yeah.
There's a lot more to come, I know that, but thus far. So, I look at some of your work, right? And like even that poster for Flight, that picture.
Yeah.
There's a depth of contrast, and we as a general public, we don't realize how much goes into developing a photograph like this, so that our eyes are drawn specifically to what you want us to see. I mean, if we look at it in depth, but most people will just glance at a movie picture poster and read the information on it, and they'll look at the picture, but they won't actually look in depth, right?
Yes.
And would you say that one of the reasons you're so, you've been so lucrative in your profession is because of your play on light and darkness, your contrast play? Because since we spoke on Tuesday, I started doing a little bit of research, looking at other people's work, etc. Yeah. And I've noticed that your work has more contrast play in it than a lot of the other people in the industry.
Yeah.
Well, you go from blinding light to matted depths of darkness in your pictures, and you do the contrast very well. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that early on came to me, is like, to really focus on the subject. So I kind of try to position myself and look at the light, or if I'm working on an image afterwards, to enhance that so that the attention is drawn to the subject. And it's the same thing when I'm doing a headshot or a portrait session. I'll always speak to the person and say, okay, first of all, get a good night's sleep if you can beforehand, but also to wear, as far as wardrobe, wear a solid... hold on a sec. Do you guys know this guy who's calling me Joe Savino?
Yeah.
No.
Hello? Oh, yeah.
You have a caller. To accept the call, press 1.
So should I press 1?
Yes. You moved away too far from the mic. We can't hear you anymore. So while he's taking that call and sorting this out, Jimmy, were you aware that if you go on IMDb, or if you were to type in his name, for example, Robert Zuckerman, right? And the first thing that would come up would be, his website and his bio, but then you'll see Robert Zuckerman IMDb.
No, what I got out of it when I first Googled them was images, all the photos.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I don't know if that was his website or not.
Probably. But go to his... If anybody were to Google him, and they type in Robert Zuckerman IMDb, and they go to the IMDb page, you will see all of the movies that he has worked on, all the projects, right? and you'll see, well, basically his filmography. So let's say, for example, you were to look at Flight. So you click on Flight. That would come up, and then you would see the photo that we were talking about, right? And if you clicked on the photo, you would see an entire 44 pictures in all. And they're all credited. It says here, let's see, photo by, photo credit, Robert Zuckerman, copyrighted 2012, Paramount Pictures, all rights reserved, right? And so if you're unfamiliar with the movie and you want to see what he's talking about, where during the filming itself, you get still shots of the actors and actresses while they're in character, actually acting and performing, you can go take a look at that. I'm looking at one here with Denzel sitting at the, I guess, in the courtroom, and he has a Band-Aid across his forehead, a really large Band-Aid across his forehead. And the look on his face is like, it's like almost like shame and fear and sadness and regret and a small modicum of, I guess, a hint of anger. But there's a lot of shame, I guess, in the look, you know? So it gives you an insight into the show itself. Right? Do you see those pictures there, Jimmy?
No, I haven't. I'm doing other.
Excuse me. Okay. So I'm looking at it, and the ones where he was talking about where he was in the plane itself, right next to the camera, and he was taking the pictures in the cockpits and stuff. They're all up there. You know, so you can take a look, and it's some pretty good, like, really defined work. Even has pictures of the producer as well, and the director, sorry, as well.
Oh, wow.
Oh, welcome back, Robert.
Thank you. My friend tried calling me, but I think for some reason we have some little technical issues, so she's going to try calling again next week.
Okay.
Franny. So, but anyway, getting back to and first of all, thank you so much. You're very thorough and incisive in terms of how you look at images, and that's I don't always encounter that a lot. But one of the things that I've done, through many years of doing headshots and portraits of people, is that very thing. I encourage people to wear a solid medium to dark tone neutral color top, so that the attention, like your wardrobe should frame the face and bring the attention to the person's face and eyes and facial features. If someone wears like a loud paisley pattern or a light color or white color, that's going to subliminally draw the eye away from the subject. So the same thing I do in portraiture. I try to create or find light or work with something that will bring the attention toward the face and the feeling in there. So I guess maybe that's kind of what I do on a movie set, although I don't really have control over so much that happens, but I try to maybe position myself in such a way that we get that optimal thing where the lighting in the background and the things around the subject bring the attention into the subject's face.
I see what you mean a lot, because I'm looking at that picture of Tamara Tunia right now, and she has such beautiful, spectacular eyes. Her eyes are like, they draw you in, right? Especially when her hair frames her face. But that top that she's wearing, I will say personally, I think she looks better. Like, it would have popped more, her skin color, her tones, her eyes, everything would have popped more if it wasn't white. Because it's like, it's white and it bleeds into the background. So it kind of washes her out a little bit. And she's so spectacularly gorgeous,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's just a really nice soul.
Guys that you want to just drown in.
Yeah, really nice person. We've actually stayed in touch a little bit since the film, and she lives in New York, and her husband is a jazz musician, and just
lovely,
really down to earth, kind person. But I always liked her, and especially in as I said, being a big long time Law and Order and especially SVU fan. It's very thrilling for me to be able to work with people that I love from the media. So.
John C. Alsadek, I was telling you about him. He messaged me today with a tease, told me, he messaged me and he told me that he worked with he said, "Hi, worked with your boyfriend Picardo last weekend, LOL." And I'm like, "Damn it, you bum! You know, call me and let me flirt with him." I love Robert Picardo. Okay, I need to stop gushing over Robert Picardo. I know, but oh my God, I love that man so much. Robert Picardo.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Captain Picard.
No. Robert Picardo is the doctor from Voyager, and he was in Stargate SG-1. He was on Deep Space Nine. He is Dr. Zimmerman, who created the holographic input relays. And yeah, I'm a Trekkie. I'm sorry.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I remember when the first Star Trek came out, and it was I was of age then and I loved that stuff. For me, Star Trek. I was one of these kids that had the NASA charts all over my wall.
Yeah.
And loved that. Even going back even further, but Lost in Space, and they had a show called Time Tunnel.
You know what I've never seen? Something about Buck Rogers in the something century.
Yeah.
I have to get that movie. My husband wants that movie badly, and I can't find it anywhere.
We have to go now to a on-air break here. So, yes, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsor. Thank you very much.
Are you hangry? Know the signs. Uncontrollable yelling.
Why aren't you egg rolls?
Hallucination.
Sushi.
Pants discomfort.
I hate you, pants.
Hangry. It can happen to anyone. Fortunately, there's E24, the app that tells hunger to shut up.
Egg rolls. Thanks, Snoop.
E24. In my medical opinion, it's the best way to order food online, baby.
Route 106 Motors is the home of fine pre-owned vehicles. Experience a no-pressure sale with a family-friendly atmosphere. Route 106 Motors has been practicing the same simple philosophy of low prices for over a decade, and it has brought us great success. Recently, while other dealers are closing their doors, Route 106 Motors is expanding. We are a wholesale dealer, and we own the property and pay cash for all the vehicles. This allows us to sell to the consumer for a lot less than the average dealership. We are a high-volume, small-profit dealer, and we pass the savings on to you. New changes have been made at Route 106 Motors. Stop by and check out our brand-new building. Route 106 Motors, located at 569 West Street. Check our website at route106motors.com and be sure to like us on Facebook to find out about all the latest deals and savings opportunities. route106motors.com.
Hey everyone, I want to tell you all about an amazing salon. Joyce's, located at 132 Ferry Street in Everett, Massachusetts. Joyce's specializes in the latest techniques in coloring, styling, cutting, and beach waves. Joyce's features Sukesha all-natural nutrient products and organic color. Joyce's full-service spa and salon, located at 132 Ferry Street, Everett, Massachusetts. 617-387-6688. Specializing in you.
Hey there, all you creepy people. This is Kevin Wayne from Portland, Oregon. You're listening to Armed Radio, home of the big guns.
Hey, this is your girl, Jay Monique.
And this is Sarah, a.k.a. Chulita Sarita.
And make sure you listen to us on Armed Radio Global. Catch us on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Robert Zuckerman with Real Talk, my premiere episode here, and I'm here with Val Anistima. And so, where did we leave off, Val? What were we talking about?
We had actually gotten off track a little bit. We were going to get back on track with a little bit more of your filmography.
Okay. So, just let's. I think I went over this on your show last night, the other night, but I got into becoming a still photographer in films, in the film business in early 1990. And I had been doing other things in sort of tangentially related to the film business, but had an opportunity to start something new, and I chose that because I had always loved photography, and it just was something. I was living in Los Angeles. So, as I told you, I did my first job was a TV show with George Clooney that never really made it to the air, and then I did a big photo shoot for the Doors movie, did some independent films. Then in 1992, I did my first big studio film for Paramount Pictures called The Temp, filmed in Portland, Oregon with Lara Flynn Boyle and Timothy Hutton and Faye Dunaway. And there's stories about that. Following year, I did The Crow, which was something that kind of established me in the business because of the whole nature of that film. And, many people know the tragic story of that film with Brandon Lee being... so anyway, but, that's a story for another time. That was a film where the poster for that movie, I was the set photographer on that movie, and they brought in another photographer to do one of the big photo shoots off to the side. And a great photographer named Aaron Rappaport, who was a great guy, and he did some really stunning pictures of Brandon. But the photo that they ended up using for the poster was a photo of Brandon entering the cathedral, and it was kind of a small image of him, coming in the cathedral doors, and he's kind of backlit with rain going behind him. Yeah. And so that was what became the the identifying image for the poster for that film. There was another photo.
Was that one of your pictures?
That's one of my pictures, yes. But that's the case where the people who are designing the poster, they look at everything. They look at whatever was done in the big photo shoot. They look what is on the set, and they use what they feel best conveys the feeling or the core or the essence of the film. That's they're going to be able to market. So they chose that image.
You also did The Crow City of Angels, right?
Correct. And that was with the great actor Vincent Perez, French actor, and that was about. I'm not sure. The timeline was probably about a year and a half later that it was filmed, and in Los Angeles. Anyway, so I did that, did The Crow City of Angels, and then because of The Crow, I became known as the guy that did dark action films. So I ended up doing Hellraiser 4. And then in 1995-96, I did Escape from L.A., which was a real, brutally hard film to work on because it was all filmed at night in wintertime. So being wintertime, the nights were the longest. So we'd go in and we'd film at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then wrap at 6, or when the sun's coming up, 6:37, and then have to drive home in morning rush hour traffic and stay awake to get home, and then try to sleep during the day. So that was 73 consecutive nights of doing that. But that was that, and then I did a film, another night action film called Steel, which starred Shaquille O'Neal, and that was a great experience too. And he was just a young guy and had been just signed to the Los Angeles Lakers, and really great experience working with him. And I can't even remember what other films I did.
Eve's Bayou.
Eve's Bayou. Well, I didn't actually work on the film, but I was hired to do a poster shoot, and with Samuel L. Jackson and Lynn Whitfield.
That is one of the most powerful movies.
Yeah, it's a great film. And then I actually worked years later with one of the actresses who was a child actor in that film, Journey Smollett, and she was also in the movie The Great Debaters about 10 years later.
Okay.
And a young woman now. But I didn't work with her on Eve's Bayou, but got to just be in the studio. It was a studio photo shoot with Lynn Whitfield and Samuel L. Jackson, and both very, very nice people, very seasoned professionals. I remember,
you know something?
Yeah.
You're rushing through a lot of it, but what I'm like, when you're talking about, like, for example, being on The Crow, etc., etc., right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a ton of stories to share about different sects and different. But you're giving us a rundown of the filmography right now.
Right.
Okay, go on.
Well, either way, I'll go in whatever direction you want. But
well, it's your show, dude. You do whatever you want. I'm just waiting for you to get to I Know What You Did Last Summer and discuss that in depth.
Okay, so let's get to that. A lot of the times there are advertising agents. Well, there are advertising agencies / design houses that are hired in Hollywood to do the campaigns. It's like anyone else. They bid for the job, and there's several competitors, and they bid for the job with Paramount Pictures or Sony or whoever, and they're awarded the campaign, and they will all do the trailer for the film, and they'll design the poster, so forth. So the company that did the poster for The Crow was a company in Los Angeles, which is no longer around, but it was called Intralink, and they were one of the premier design houses, and they also did the photo shoot for I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then in 1997, they hired me to do the poster shoot for that movie that you mentioned, I Know What You Did Last Summer. And the movie had been filmed largely in North Carolina, and they have a great unit or set photographer on the movie, Jim Bridges, who's from that area, from North Carolina. But then they filmed the latter part of the filming was done in Northern California in Bodega Bay, which for students of film history, Bodega Bay is where Alfred Hitchcock filmed The Birds.
Right.
So it's quite a drive. It's north of San Francisco by a couple of hours, and along the coast. It's a beautiful place. And so they hired me. Intralink hired me to because of my sort of growing pedigree and doing dark action films and dealing with that, to do a poster shoot for I Know What You Did Last Summer. And you had a lot of these big stars, but were just at the very beginning of their career, still teenagers.
Well, they had come out from their TV series and stuff as well, so they were already big in their own right. They had a cult following.
Yeah. Well, they were, and you had Jennifer Love Hewitt, who at the time, she was still 17, so she was in the film business, until you turn 18, you have to be accompanied by your parents on the set. You're considered a minor. So she was there, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ryan Felipe, Freddie Prinze Jr., and there was a certain concept of a way that the creative director, Mark Crawford from Intralink, wanted the sets to be lit. But, I had to go up there and find, in this remote place, I had to find a photo studio and a place where, nearby where we could do the photo shoot. And it was a pretty interesting setup. And so we went up there, and we actually found a studio. I actually hired as my producer a very good friend of mine, Nicole Boughton, who now is back then she was an artist and living down in downtown Los Angeles, and she was amazing because she helped me find a studio up there. We ended up finding a big photo studio. There was a guy from that area who just mainly photographed products like incense and sandals and kind of other hippie type products, but he had this amazing big photo studio that worked out perfectly for us. So we got that. I brought up two assistants with me, and Nicole, and she came up there and set things up, and we were doing the photo shoot on a day off from filming. So we had the whole thing set up, and the Mark Crawford, who was the creative director from Intralink, had this. They come up with concepts ahead of time. So what we had to do is they wanted a certain look, a certain lighting look, of sort of half lit, mysterious, dark, nocturnal. And when you look at the poster, you see all the actors together, but they were all photographed individually. And then
I was going to ask you about that. You know why? This is the first time I've ever seen Buffy. Okay, you have to remember at this time, 1997.
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right?
Yeah.
And Jennifer Hewitt. She was known as being the sweetie pie, the little sister, you know.
Yeah.
And in the photo, she takes, I don't know, like precedence, I guess, where she takes.
Yeah.
She has, you know, the front runner. She looks like she's the kick-ass, badass girl.
Yeah.
And Buffy, standing in the background, looks like she's looking off into the distance, and she's kind of confused, but somewhat docile. It's like, I don't know, not really confused. That's not the word. She just doesn't have that image of, you know, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? That take charge kind of thing. So it's very different from what we had seen of her up until that point. In fact, there's a direct contrast to both of the characters that they both played that they were so well known for, you know?
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about that, because it's like I can't imagine all four of them being here in that group like that.
Yeah.
And each face is so distinctive. I love how it's done. So you superimposed their images on a backdrop?
Well, no, we were filming them in the studio, and all the artwork was turned into Intralink, and they did their magic there. So, you know, we kind of filmed them in a limbo, so there was darkness around them with a little bit of, you know, backlight behind them. But, you know, it wasn't, you know, it was mostly darkness, so that those faces were then composited, you know, by whatever early version, or, you know, the 1997 version of Photoshop was, or whatever, you know, programs, software they were using. And so they put it together like that, and, you know, kind of gave it that bluish tint that you see. And then I think there's also an image on there of the bad guy with the hook down on the lower side of this thing. And that was actually done back in Los Angeles. And that was my buddy of mine, Travis Burrell, who came over, and we did that in back of my apartment. We did that shot. And, you know, then that was put in there and, you know, treated and put in there to blend in that way.
Thanks. You know who I have to introduce you to? Bill LaBerge Jr.
Oh, okay.
He is the scariest, most, I don't even know how to put it, heart-stoppingly evil depiction of a clown or a serial killer or a serial rapist that you'll ever meet. But in real life, he is the sweetest, kindest, most gentle soul.
Well,
he has such a depth of personality, it's ridiculous.
You know, a lot of guys who portray the evil guys that I've met, that I've worked with, are that way. They're like, they have such, you know, evil, diabolical personas on screen, but in real life, they're the most gentle, sweet guys. You know, for instance, going back to The Crow, Michael Wincott, who plays Top Dollar, it was just throughout the whole production, he really stayed in character, and he was just very blustery, and even not when he wasn't filming, he was in that persona, and you know, with the long hair, which is a wig. But then about 6 months later, when I was in LA, I was in this local health food store near me called Erewhon, and I see him there, and his, you know, hair is really short, and he's in line, and, you know, I said, "Hey, Michael, how are you?" And he goes, "Oh, hi, Robert, I'm fine." You know, just like so gentle and so mellow. And then,
you're so awesome. Jimmy, they're looking for you.
Your neighborhood again?
Yeah.
That's all right. The same thing in Training Day. I don't know if you remember the character Smiley. He was the really bad guy in the kitchen with a card game, you know, played by this actor Cliff Curtis, who was actually a New Zealand guy, I think of Maori lineage, and he played, you know, Smiley in Training Day, and he played, you know, in that movie Blow. He always plays the really badass, you know, vatos, and you know, and so, but you know, in real life, we went out to lunch one day, and we had to go to this. He insisted on going to this macrobiotic place, and, you know, he's just like, you know, he talks like this with the New Zealand accent, and he says, you know, "I don't know, Robert, I'm just good at doing these bad guys, and that's what they hire me for." You know, but he's like the most gentle, mellow guy in real life, but on screen he just, you know, scares the bejesus out of you.
Yeah, but you're talking about physical presence, scary, whatever. There's something about Bill. When you see him on screen, you feel like he's gonna peel your skin off and wear it. But at the same time, you kind of want to let him, because you're drowning in those eyes of his. He is completely mesmerizing. It's like you're paralyzed. And, you know, like people say it's a train wreck, you can't help but look. You want to look away, but you can't help but look.
Yeah.
With him, it's not a train wreck. With him, it's like some kind of demonic possession where you don't want to look away. You know you should. For the goodness of your soul, you should. But you can't. And I would love to see, like, I've seen some of his work, and like, I love his work, his movies, his TV debut and stuff like that. But I would love to see you two work together, because with your style and his image, I'm thinking you can both make me stay up for a whole week.
Oh my goodness, where does he live?
He is in California, in Los Angeles.
All right.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. I love him.
Well, hook a brother up.
Will do. Will do. I'll call him tomorrow and do a 3-way call or something.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. I mean, you know, that's what I love about you know, the acting and the business. You know, that people are good at what they do, and they're really professional. So.
Now I have that image in my head, and I can see him, and I feel like he's peeling my skin off to wear it. Oh my God, it's stuck in my head now. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. Okay.
Well, you have your kitty cat to protect you.
I got a big 6'9" tall husband to protect me.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Well, you know, getting back to that, so I did that poster, and then the following year they did I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and I did the poster for that too. It wasn't, you know, as big. It didn't make as big an impression as the first one, but it was working with the same actors plus another actor, Mekhi Phifer, who was in it. And but it was interesting because the second year, you know, Jennifer Love Hewitt had turned 18, so she wasn't there with her parents, and so you know, that was a good experience working on those films.
Wait a minute. Do you know how creepy that sounded? That's like something Jimmy would say. Yeah, it was good because, you know, she was there. She was 18. So
I didn't mean it like that. Oh, wait, sorry.
There.
Yeah, no. It was look. Okay, how am I going to get out of this one now? Oh my goodness.
Jimmy, isn't that something you would say? Come on now.
Not me.
And no. It's been great to watch. I actually haven't had any contact with her, so it's been like almost 20 years.
Oh, I'm just teasing. She's always been beautiful. I love her.
Yeah, it's very, very beautiful. And I had a little bit of follow-up contact with Freddie Prinze Jr., who I photographed sometime in the early, like maybe 2004, 2005, for a magazine in California called Venice Magazine. And so that was it.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Both Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt, they both seem like the kid next door type actress. They present this persona to the public, or I guess through their movies and the characters that they portray, that they are so sweet and approachable and just really down to earth and really, you know, like they're dismissive of being this huge freaking star. To them, they're just people. What was it like working with them? Are they truly like that?
Most definitely.
Yeah, I love that. I love that when you can see the person.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, most people are like that. You know, you have a few that are standoffish or that really don't know how to do it. But for instance, one person that I'll never forget, the first time I worked with her was Cameron Diaz. And I worked with her on a film in 1997 called Very Bad Things. Okay. And I was a still photographer on that. And the first morning that she was on set, and she was already, at that point, you know, a very big star, that we were filming in a practical location in a house. And the camera crew, the first scene was in a kitchen of this house, and it wasn't a big kitchen, and we were all crammed in there in the room. And, you know, in walks this beautiful young actress, Cameron Diaz, and she walked up to every single crew person, took their hand, shook their hand, looked in her eyes and said, "Hi, I'm Cameron." And that was the first thing she did, and I'll never, ever forget that, because I've never seen it before or since. And that just gave me, really great impression of her. And also, she was one of these people that I subsequently worked with her on Any Given Sunday, which is a very big film. And she wasn't one of these people that would go off to her trailer after a take and just be remote. She'd stay and hang out and talk to people. And
now she portrays this bubbly, sunshiny, beautiful spirit, right? But it's always very active, very energetic. I would imagine that it would be exhausting to be that energetic all the time. So I've kind of always had this image of her though as being this bubbly, energetic. Is that true, or is she more sedate on set?
No, she's not overly bubbly, but she's just someone who's nice and friendly. And I've kind of caught her early on in her career, but for instance, on Any Given Sunday, she plays a more serious character. I don't know if you're familiar with the film, but she plays the owner of a football team, and she inherited the ownership from her deceased father. So she's more of a strong businesswoman in her persona there.
Right, and she has to deal with not just owning the team, but she has to deal with these gladiators.
Yes.
So yeah.
So, but that was something that really, as I said, made a lasting impression on me.
Wasn't Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday? Or am I mistaken?
Al Pacino, no, he is. He plays the coach of the football team of the Sharks, and that was another amazing experience. Working with Al Pacino, and
Any Given Sunday had a huge cast. I'm just looking it up here, and I realized Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid. Oh my God, he is so freaking sexy.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. James Woods, Jamie Foxx.
Yep.
Oh God. Okay. All right. The next name on that list makes my heart beat like quiver. Whew. LL Cool J. Oh my God, I love him. Matthew Modine, another little, sexy guy right there. Okay. So to be a fly on the wall in that studio.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was a fly on a wall with a camera in my hands. So very lucky for that. And it was a great experience, and like working with Al was a great experience too. I mean, obviously he was the main star, and Jamie Foxx was in his first big dramatic role, and Jamie did an amazing job in that. He really held up and held his own. And then two other people that were in the film. Well, there were many people, but Anne Margaret was someone. I mean, what a thrill to work with her. And we even had for a brief time Charlton Heston.
Aaron Eckhart.
Yes, Aaron Eckhart was in it, and he was a very avid photographer. So we'd be in the in between takes in a football stadium, and we'd just be talking shop about cameras and so forth. Aaron Eckhart, very beautiful soul. Elizabeth Berkley was in the movie.
I love her.
She's still to this day, and okay, all right. So
she's another one who has eyes that are stormy, and yet they kind of somehow suck you in.
Yeah, I think we're getting close here. I just got poked. So, well, Val, I just want to say thank you once again.
Jimmy, buy the man dinner before you poke him. Come on.
Thank you for making the time go smoothly and getting me through this. I was a little bit the first time jitters. So, thank you for that.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll keep it all going. Okay, we'll just keep it all going here, and stay tuned and check out Armed Radio. What is it? Armed Global Radio Network.
Armed Radio Global.
Armed Radio Global Networks online for news about who's going to be guesting on upcoming shows, and we'll get things worked out so callers can call in. But thank you all you people out there listening for tuning in tonight. And we'll hope to bring you more really good content as time goes on.
And don't forget, tonight's lineup, you have Night Talk with Joe Rocks. It's unpredictable. It is, quite frankly, it is a train wreck. You don't want to look, but you can't look away. Your ears will never be the same, but you can't help it. You want to listen, so stay tuned. Remember, that's the big boss himself, Joe Rocks, on Night Talk.